Senator Jeff Flake, who sits on the Foreign Relations and the Judiciary Committee. He is in Phoenix this morning. Senator, on this question of the travel ban, you were against it when it first came out. The White House has clarified some issues, particularly with respect to green card holders. So what's your view of it now?
I do think that it's constitutional. It's not a Muslim ban. It is focused on countries rather than religion or individuals. Having said that, I've been clear that I don't think that it's a good idea. I think that the message that it sends to our allies abroad and the countries that we need to work with is not a good one. But I do think it's constitutional, and I hope that we'll pause and reflect and see where we need to go from here.
Do you think the president should start over and issue a new one?
Well, we'll see. I mean, obviously the president wants to keep the country safe. I recognize that. I think everybody does. And I applaud him for trying to do so. But obviously it needs to be constitutional and it needs to be wise. We need to look and see where the real threats are and base this upon threats and not so much just what was promised in the campaign.
Do you think the court was wrong to look at the comments that President Trump made when he was a candidate about a Muslim ban in determining that this executive order did have a religious test as a part of it?
Well, I do think that the president has broad authority when it comes to immigration and those who enter the country. So yeah, it troubles me a bit when the court is looking at motives or trying to decide what the motives were. So yeah, that troubles me. Having said that, like I said, I hope we move ahead, and the president obviously wants to keep the country safe. We recognize that. That's a good thing, but I think we can arrive at policies that do it in a better way.
You're on the Judiciary Committee. You know about the separation of powers, how presidents are supposed to treat judges. What's your assessment of the way President Trump has talked about the judicial branch?
Well, it's fine to disagree with opinions. I mean, I reside in Arizona. We're in the Ninth Circuit. We do a lot of complaining about a circuit that is overturned more than any other circuit by the Supreme Court. It's fine to question the judgment, but to go after individual judges or to talk about them, I think Judge Gorsuch said it right. That is disheartening. And I think that we ought to avoid any personal attacks like that.
Do you think the president suggested that if there was a terrorist attack that the judge in Seattle should be, and I guess now also the Ninth Circuit, should be blamed for if there's such an attack because of holding up this ruling? Do you think that's appropriate?
I just don't, like I said, I don't think that the ban that went in place was really based on our national intelligence or their assessment. And so I don't think that that's healthy to do that, to try to blame judges or individuals if something happens in the future. But like I said, the president wants to keep the country safe. That's the motive. We recognize that. And
briefly, explain to people why it matters that there should be a separation between the judiciary and the presidency.
Yes, it does matter. These are three separate branches of government. That's the genius of our government. And when I sat down with Judge Gorsuch, that's what I appreciated most, is his recognition there. He said that when he puts on the robe, he recognizes that he is not a legislator. And that's what we need, certainly, is judges that recognize the separation of powers, and also legislators that do, and the executive branch as well. That's what has made this country work so well for more than 200 years.
Let me ask you a question about immigration. There's been an uptick in arrests following, it appears, Donald Trump's promise that he's going to crack down on criminals who are in the United States illegally. There's also some reporting that, in addition, there's also some small number that have been detained because they're here just illegally but haven't committed any crimes. What's your sense of what's happening right now? Is it what you expected from President Trump?
Well, President Trump promised to go after those who had committed felonies, aggravated felonies, and he's doing so. And I think, obviously, that's applauded. Nobody is shedding a tear for rapists and others for being deported, and I'm glad that those are being expedited. But obviously, we in Congress need to reform immigration moving ahead. We have the DACA kids that are going to be, that's going to come up and visit us because some of them are timing out of the program they're in now. And the president has expressed a willingness to work with Congress on that. At the same time that he does that, I hope that we can work with him on some of the other issues. Those who are in the country, like the woman in Arizona who was deported simply because she used documents, fake documents, to work. I don't think anybody wants to put her in the same class as aggravated felons who endanger public safety. So I think we can work with the administration. Obviously, we're reaching out to them to do so.
President Trump, in an interview, said people like the woman you describe, whose only illegal act is being here illegally, should not be worried by his approach. In your conversations with the White House, do you think that's true, that she and others should not be worried about the way immigration reform will be carried out by the administration?
Well, it's difficult right now, as we've heard from the White House even this morning. It's difficult. The White House shouldn't be telling ICE officials and others how to prioritize. Obviously, some prioritization goes on, but I can tell you there is a lot of worry here in Arizona by those who have committed, they've come across, they're illegally here, but they've not committed aggravated felonies. Right. And I hope, and the only way to address this in a real way, a permanent way, is for Congress to get involved. Right. The president needs to work with the Congress. We're reaching out to him on that.
All right, Senator Flake, thanks so much for being with us, and we'll be back in one moment.